Hello, Marisa. How are you?
Hi, Edward. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Hello, designers. Thank you for joining us for our design talk today. And today, I'm super excited to talk with Marisa Chen about communication between the product designer and the marketing team. Marisa is a product designer with a background in psychology and business. She born and raised in Hong Kong, spent some time in London, and now lives in Vancouver, Canada. Um, when she has a free time, she enjoys reading and believes reading outside her immediate area helps spark the innovation. And a part of all this stuff, she has also a fantastic Instagram account, the account called Design Team of One. She has more than 11,000 followers, and I very highly recommended you to follow her. So if you have your mobile phone near you now, just search in Instagram, Design Team of One, and you will get a great content from her to you. So I hope I don't know if everything is if you want to add some things more about yourself, but
Yeah, no, thanks for that introduction. It's really great. I guess a little bit about things that I'm curious or passionate about and interested in. I'm currently working in the startup space in a company that focuses on developer tools, and so that's kind of the developer tooling field. And we're currently working remotely for the company that is based in SF.
mhm. Great, great. So, um, one thing before we start, if you have a questions, guys, you can write them on the chat, and we'll add them to the meeting. So you can be interactive, ask questions, and let's see what Marisa will have to answer. Okay, I will go direct to the point, and one question that's interesting me: why we need communication between marketing team and product teams?
Yeah, so this is actually something that I didn't even consider. Definitely wasn't something that I actually think of before I joined DGraph as a designer. But after I joined, I kind of have the responsibility of spend around 70 to 80% of my time with the product team and the rest of the time with the marketing team. And so I really became that person to bridge between the two teams, having to report, track metrics with the two teams and basically act as the not only the bridge but the person who goes to different teams to ask questions, communicate, report. And so that really sparked my interest in understanding how I can improve the communication between the two teams. And it also just helps my work in the future because that's also something that I will be constantly doing.
Mhm. And you talk about two type of teams, one marketing, one product team. Can you explain who are the people involved in the marketing team and who are the people involved in the product team?
Yeah, for sure. So marketing team, mostly customer facing. We have a content writer, we have two growth developers, and a marketing manager. And on the product side, we have the CTO and CPO, a few developers, mostly front end and a little bit of back end, and then myself. So our company is definitely not as big. We have around 50 to 60 people. So those are the sizes of the two teams.
Hmm. And let's say, okay, we have marketing, we have the product team. Where is the challenges? Where are the places that they need to work together and things that the product team think in one way, the marketing think in another way? How make a bridge or build a bridge between this gap?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think focusing on why the bridge is important at the beginning of this conversation is really important. So um, the problem with communication between marketing and product is that marketing can bring so many users to the door, um, which is where the product is and the business is. But if people don't act on using the software, using the platform, they don't actually engage in it, or they sign up for an account, but they actually don't use the features within it, then the product is not doing its job. And so that whole journey of a user from landing on our website to maybe reading some case studies, learning about the features, to entering the platform and using the product, that's the whole journey from marketing to product. And that is not something that's actively been discussed in the community, I feel like. And so I really want to come in and provide some insights into how that works and what are some challenges that maybe my company or other companies are facing.
One challenge can be, for example, I imagine the marketing team put something in the website, on the website. Our product know how to do X. If there is no good communication between the marketing and the product, what can happen? I imagine that maybe the customer come, he said, oh, the product can do these things. The marketing, we know how marketing works. They shows great information about the product. They are everything is cool. But when the user enter to the product, it can happen that the product don't meet what the marketing said about it. No, I mean, maybe the marketing show this happened. The marketing shows some feature and the product not, this feature don't exist.
Yeah, totally. So feature-wise, this is one concern, not having alignment between features among marketing and product, when marketing promote one thing and product execute another thing. And so there's also this field called product marketing, I believe, which kind of is trying to bridge between the two. But apart from that, apart from features, the user experience and the visual identity is also another concern. Because the nature of how customer facing the marketing team is, a lot of things are really branded pretty nicely, whereas product is mostly dominated by the people in development. And so it's not as a highly prioritized for them to care about visual design. And so understanding the discrepancy between the two experiences is really important, and the goal is to align them.
And do you feel that, for example, one thing is that, okay, we enter to the marketing side, it's look with one design, I will say one design system, one type of style. And if there is not good communication between the marketing and the product, it's possible that the product website will be different from the product, the website of the company will be different from the product itself. I mean, if I go in detail, the buttons can be a little bit with different shape or different colors on that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a really common challenge in a lot of SaaS companies. Some of the examples are like that are doing a good job. Maybe you can look at as like Asana. They have their own website. It's customer facing, but when you launch their app, you still feel like you're using a product from the same company. And that is something that has not been achieved yet at dgraph, and it's something that definitely the two teams and myself had to work harder towards.
And what do you think can have what you do to create this bridge? Something that maybe people that see this video think, okay, I have the same problem. What I can do to make a bridge between the two departments? For example, that the website will look like the product.
Yeah, so definitely one thing to start with is there's this phrase that is often discussed or brought up in the community is speaking each other's languages and using each other's vocabularies. I would say that's the first step, just being open to learning what metrics a marketing team cares about, or in terms of product, what the product in terms of a technological perspective, what does it actually do? And so being open to learning these different terms and understanding how what are the things that people prioritize in different teams would be the first step. But that's also not enough. It's really important to have alignment really frequently, not have the teams work in siloed. This is an added challenge on top of how remote our team is. So everyone is kind of scattered around the world, and it definitely adds a layer of complexity to communication. But I believe that if alignment is early in the project, then those discrepancy, whether it's feature-wise or visual-wise, can definitely be improved a lot.
And do you think in that, let's say that the most common maybe to have meetings between the two teams, or
So,
to have meetings between the two teams to start to
yeah.
align the stuff. So in some moment, one person can ask to say something, and some person from the marketing teams can say something, one word that the product don't understand, and here it can be start the bridge. If the product asks, "Hey, I don't understand what you mean. Can you explain me?" This is something that you see happen. I mean, not to be shy to ask the questions, to understand how the other team works.
Yeah, so actually one of the biggest challenges being in the developer space is that when you ask a developer or you ask a team of developer what one concept means, you can get 10 different answers because even developers themselves understand the concept differently. People have different mental models, which totally makes sense. And so this is where documentation comes in, and it's really important for that alignment, whether it's marketing or even sales, product. In terms of product side, we have our own docs, which is really common in the developer space. You have everything kind of defined, listed out how features interact with each other. And on the marketing side, it's mostly just Google Docs. But it's really helpful in terms of even just teaching our product people what is top-down marketing, what is bottom-up marketing. Those are terms that we thought that it would be really easily aligned on, but then when we have our discussions, it turns out that people have different interpretations of what that actually means. And so those are times or moments where we really have to think through how we want to communicate among the different teams and define these even just really basic terms to begin with.
And I mean, at the end, we start to work on the product. I guess the two teams want that the product will success. Okay. Do you think that there is some KPIs that can be used in the marketing side and also in the product side? So maybe I don't know, churn, how many people use the product. This is something that, do you think that both teams can be aligned on that? I mean, there is a meeting. Hey, this week we had 1% of churn or 0.5 churn. These things help to understand, for your point of view, that the two teams aligned on the stuff. I mean, to talk the same KPIs.
Yeah, definitely. So why it's important for marketing and product to align on these KPIs, even though sometimes the metrics might be different. Sometimes, or most of the time, marketing would care more about bounce rates, page visit, unique visits, whereas product would care more about retention, engagement. And also a tip for designers, it's really important to know what you're tracking during your projects. But yeah, even though these metrics might be drastically different, when we try to analyze a user's journey as a whole, they don't care if they're on the website, or as in they don't actually think about whether they're on the website or the platform. They see it as a one whole experience. They don't see it as, oh, I'm interacting with the marketing team now while I'm on the website, or I'm interacting with the product team while I'm on the platform. And so understanding that journey with those metrics as a whole is really important. And how we do it at DGraph is we use Mixpanel. And the reason why we need alignment so early is because we want to understand the whole journey. Is it more common for a user to end up using our product if they read the case study? Or is it more common for a user to use our product if they checked out our Learn page? So we want to make the connection between these two stages, even though on the user side, it's just one entire journey. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, yes. And the question, okay, this is the whole journey. You
Yeah.
you say that the user start in marketing, he saw an advertisement. He enter to the site, he enter to the product and start use the product. Do you think that, what is the point for your point of view that the user leave the work of the marketing and start work on the product? What is this point? It's the login, it's before the login, after login, or where is the point exactly?
That is a very interesting question. So in dgraph, we actually have no problem getting signups. So login wasn't that point where people churn or drop off the most. And the problem we identified is actually after signing up, they don't act within the platform, that they don't do anything. They just leave the empty account. They leave the account empty without acting on the next step of the funnel. And for us, that is creating a backend. That sounds really technical, but it's basically just, for example, in Notion, it's creating your own first page. It's the first step of the biggest value you can take out of the platform. And we also track something called time to first value, which is the time they take from after logging in to taking this action. And so one of my biggest project at dgraph was actually improving anything from login to creating a first backend. That journey was kept empty at the beginning before I joined. And so one of my tasks was to try out some onboarding tasks or build a app store where people can see what they can build with our products. So this is still an ongoing project, but it's been a great experience just knowing what to improve on.
And the thing is that, for my understanding, you make the onboarding. Do you think that in that point you can take one person for the marketing and say, hey, I need to explain the product to the user, make an onboarding? Do you think in that moment the marketing team can help you to explain the product? I mean, maybe text, maybe, because they know how to do it. I mean, they know how to sell or to communicate.
So one thing I really like about dgraph, although I keep on saying that we need alignment, I think one thing that we've been doing really great is that we have a rigorous learning process. Definitely not everyone comes from a developer background, especially if you're taking up non-developer roles like myself and our content writer, our marketing manager. We all don't come from a developer background, but having that learning process at first when we first joined the company, where we can read up on articles, blogs, going through the Learn site ourselves, even just trying to run the software locally on our computer was something really helpful. And so why I'm saying this is because everyone in the marketing team, even though their development is not their it's not their highest prioritized job to do, everyone is equipped with at least some knowledge of how things work. And so having marketing, even being in the process of onboarding, improving that experience was really helpful. Having the content writer come in and ensuring that our brand voice is consistent and coherent among the entire journey. That's one way that they contributed. And also just understanding what metrics to track, like you said.
So what I understand from you now, actually, to make great marketing, the marketing team needs to use the product. I mean, they need to understand the product, what they sell. I mean, maybe it sounds obvious, but I don't think. Maybe there is some companies that it's not so obvious that the users, the people that work to sell the product or market the product needs to know exactly how the product works. And that's what I understand from you. I mean, enter one person, maybe make an onboarding in the company. He needs to download the product and start to play with it to understand what it's do, although he's not the user. I mean, he's not a developer.
Yeah, definitely. As much as it's difficult to step into another's shoes when you're wearing shoes, like we say in design, kind of that design mentality is also applied within the company for our marketers to understand how our product actually works. And because without that, it will be really difficult to even market it. They have to believe in the product itself in order to promote it. And like I said, it's similar to how as designers, we try as much to understand our users' perspectives, even though we haven't lived through that. There are different methods like role playing, interviewing, focus groups, just to understand where they come from.
So one question interesting that I have, do you think that the marketing team can come, or maybe it's happened, come and show a new feature or show a new idea to the product? I mean, hey, I saw that, so maybe you can make it better in that way. I mean, they start to think about in a product way that they contribute to the product, not also from the marketing. It's something that happened that you have.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say they actively are involved within the product projects, but there are definitely concepts where marketing and product share, like understanding a user's journey, understanding at what part of the journey that they are stuck, and then understanding maybe at some point we can instill confidence in those developers, which is our users, to act. And so the the funnel of marketing, it's not exactly the same as the onboarding process in product, but there are still points and nuggets of knowledge where we are able to share and exchange and inspire each other. And so I really enjoy that working environment where teams just kind of have a lot of cross-functional collaboration. Marketing definitely is a part of improving the product, but they don't actively do it.
And another question that it's quite interesting for me. We work in an agile environment. I guess marketing is much more agile than product, because in marketing we can think about any idea. We need to launch something. It's quite fast, because design idea, launching Google, I don't know, advertisement or something like that, and that's all. Development a little bit different, because it's the recycles and that stuff. But do you think this agile methodology, it's work in both of them? I mean, it can reflect one to each other, because, for example, we make a product, we have an idea, we want to launch it. Actually, the marketing team can start to talk about this feature 1 month before it's launched. So, I mean, this agile, do you think it affects also these two teams, the way to work fast and deliver fast?
Yeah, this is actually really interesting because I think agile is such a technical term that I never really think of that being applied to marketing. But does our marketing team try to promote something before a feature launch in a product? For sure. It's just that I never thought about it in this perspective, and it's maybe it's something that I need to actually think about more. How maybe even the agile framework can be applied to the marketing team. But definitely our product team works in the agile framework. It just wasn't, it's not actively being brought up in the marketing team.
And the other thing, do you feel that we work together? And there is the visual part. I don't think about the product, about the logic. This is very product, how we as a product designer do. But there is something on the visual. But how we can be in the moment that the marketing team and the product team speak the same language, in the way that they agreed, for example, on the visual of the brand, how the visual of the brand affect the product. Okay, this one thing, but it's possible that the product affect the visual of the brand. Who comes first? If you understand what I mean. I mean, the marketing came with some logo, they came with some colors and affect the product, or no, the product has its own design system and this is affect the brand.
So I guess I can only speak from my experience, because this is also one of the experience where I had to bridge between marketing and product. But I think that is exactly where my role comes in, as a designer, where both visual and user experience is my top priority. I don't expect marketers to care too much about, oh, is this color, is this shade of blue right? And the product team to think about things like, is this where the button's supposed to be? It's really hard for the people who already have other priorities to actually think about that. Marketers are often thinking about how to get the next user. Product people are often just thinking about technical capabilities and how to push out the next feature. And so the project that I'm currently working on is actually our design system. And it's going. It has to be scalable because, like you said, if it's not scalable, then it won't be able to apply to both teams. And I have to make sure that it doesn't only work in the product environment, but also customer facing marketing, more outward facing, marketing assets. And it's definitely not easy to have the team actually think about these design system, and they can see this as a constraint when they try to promote an event or design a new feature. But it's my job to get buy-in, pitch the idea, and to actively uphold those constraints to make sure our brand is coherent. But I'm also really lucky to have to work with our content writer to even just figure out our brand voice. That's something that it's not only communicated through visuals, it's also the words we use, how we tweet about things, the whole branding of the company.
So in your case, in that case, that is, I didn't sound, I know that it exists, but the first time I know people that say that they work in that way. If you need help on the writing of something, for example, a tooltip that explains something, you have a person that can help you to explain it, and he take care of the voice. He can give you advice or help you how to the product, what is the voice of the product, because he is in the marketing side. This make a great bridge. What talk inside the website to sell the product, it's the same language or the same way of talking inside the product. And this is something that I guess help a lot when we need to explain something complex in the product. This is that's what I mean. So I mean, yes.
So when it comes to two technical terms, the marketing team is not as involved in the process. There are things that I would say even through reading and blogging and learning, it's really difficult to reach compared to when you are in that environment where you actually are coding and using the technology yourself. And so when I say brand voice, it's more on, for example, when we explain our pricing tier, it has to be consistent on the website and on the platform. And those, we should be using layman terms to explain what the pricing plan is. But when it comes to more feature-facing interfaces, we definitely need our developers to help to contribute to that language, because what is the right term to use here might not be the thing that a marketer or a content writer knows.
I understand. So I mean, you live in the both sides. Sometimes you need person that help you here, sometimes person that help in another side. Depends
Exactly.
what you want to do. More technically, developers help. More sell or more explanation, soft explanation, or marketing. You live in the both sides. In the one to one side to another side.
Yeah, and why it's so important to have both voices is because we don't just target developers as a target audience. We noticed that there are two different ways that people end up using our products. One is bottom up, one solo developer who works in a company end up using our product and they evangelize, or a freelancer developer end up using our product. But on the other side, we have this top-down pattern where the CTO of a company would be searching for a tool and they ended up with our product. And so the CTO is the decision maker, but they're also not constantly surrounded by in that environment where they have to code. And so if we're talking too technical stuff with the CTO, it's probably not the best fit. Whereas if we talk to an individual solo developer, having a developer talking to them in that voice might help a lot. And so it's a balance between the two.
Okay, just the thing that if people didn't understand the term of bottom up of bottom up or top down.
Right.
Bottom up means that if I understand, bottom up means that the sales start with the people that actually use the product. In our case, as developers, imagine that Figma, we are in forms of the designers, and one person said, "Hey, there is a new tool called Figma." We designers start to talk to play with it. We said, "Wow, that's good." We start to talk, and we talk with our CTO. Hey, this tool will help us a lot, and
Yes.
he buy it for us because he take the budget. He is the manager of the budget. Top down, it means the the head of design saw that Figma it's a good product, and he
And
said to
ask
the
you to use
developer, he asked me to use it. So
yes.
bottom up for the for the person that use and the person that buy on the top, and the top down. First, we let's say first we the person that have the budget said I want to buy it and put it down to all the people. So this is the difference. And you said in your case, great, because you can, when it's bottom to top, developers' words will be more saleable. Top down, the marketing team can make it better. I mean, so you use
Yes,
the both of them.
exactly. So
Mhm.
one thing we find that was really interesting is that if you talk to developers, it's better if you talk in terms of features. So what the platform can do in your workflow, how it can optimize your workflow. But we found that when talking to CTOs or people who are higher up in the chain, it's better to talk in terms of benefits. So for example, you can gain insights on using this platform, or it helped you cut development costs. It helped you cut overhead costs. So that's the difference when I say different voices and when developers and marketers come in differently to serve that purpose.
Yes, if I understand you well, the people, if we sell top down, more important to talk about money for the let's say the and on money it's always good to talk, but but to talk about the last point, when developers think how my work will be more faster, what the actual benefit is not. Don't want to say that it's small, but it's the more detailed solution, and the person from above say how this impact all the development department. Good.
Exactly.
and, and other things, if I come back to a little bit visual design, when we talk about design system, do you think that it makes sense that the marketing, if the marketing will be involved in the creation of the design system? I mean, I don't know if you had experience with that. There is marketing designer inside the marketing team. If it's something that happened, so to build with them all the design system, because from my experience when I worked in the past, the marketers teams has less knowledge about accessibility, so
Mm,
because of that, the colors can be very, let's say, not they maybe they don't will not test the colors for the website, and the product team will take care to accessibility. I mean, do you think it makes sense to build it together? I mean, people from the marketing team, people from the power build the design system together and make a design system that fit to both sides.
yeah. There's so in my company, I am the marketing designer. I'm also the product designer. And so it makes things a little easier, but it also means there's more on my plate. There's maybe not another person where I have to consult with when we consider the marketing side of things, but having alignment between product and marketing, definitely even on the design system scale, is something that we consider. And so how we do it at DGraph is that basically we have a brainstorming session initially. There will be some people, not the entire team from marketing or the product team, but some people who are kind of building up like a design system team, having people picked from the two different teams to join this design system team. But we would have our content writer from the marketing side mostly, and then two other product people, mostly developers, to join the team. So we have an alignment on what we want to make consistent, whether it's button, patterns, colors, yes. Sometimes we see patterns come up on both the website and product. It's not that common, but we see it time to time. For example, when we want to promote an event that's coming up, do we want to promote it in the platform? These are type of like reusable components that we use across the different teams and different assets. But it's mostly, the executing is mostly by me, but the alignment is between the different teams, and then having people come in and look at it, review, feedback, iterate.
And if you talk about that, I heard about in other companies that sometimes the designers, they are more on the product side, and the marketing make all the marketing things. The Google Analytics and that stuff, and all the advertisement. I thought I heard that in one company, what they do, they bid for the marketing team templates, for example, for Google advertisement. I mean, you can think about it like Figma components, like making advertisement, and this help to the product designers, save them time, because they don't need to come again and again and design a banner for, let's say, banner. They don't need to do it. What they need to do, build a template, show to the marketing team how to work with the template, give them maybe access to Figma, and the marketing team can make as they want banners, no problem. This is something that you saw, that this collaboration?
Yeah, definitely in dgraph too. Something you said that makes me really happy is that the marketing team would go into Figma, and that's also something that dgraph has been actually trying to I'm trying to get buy-in and spread the word of Figma. I think Figma itself is just a really good tool, even for non-designers, to be a part of the design process. And so when I hear that, it makes me really happy. And yes, dgraph does that too. Whether it's something that is originally generated from marketing end up being in the product, or some patterns or components that is created by product and then end up on the marketing site. That's really common to see.
Well, that is interesting. Let's say I'm quite happy with that Figma. It's from moment to moment go and have more impact on the industry, because I like much their product, and I feel that this product gives solution not for design, it start to give solution, as you said, also for the marketing. The tool is super simple, and in that way, one tool, two teams work in the same moment. So this saved a lot of time. I have maybe two questions for you before we finish. And if if you have questions and you want to ask that, write them on the chat. So, so we will take them. One thing is, what do you think the marketing team studied from you as a product designer?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
What the marketing teams do you think studied from you about product? I mean, what they studied from you? You work together with them.
That's an interesting question. I think, so I can only speak from what I believe that they can learn from me, but when the teams are really siloed and you have that label on you that you belong to the marketing team or you belong to the product team, it suddenly becomes like you don't have to see the bigger picture and care about what other teams are doing. I know that might not be the case in, I actually don't know, maybe it's even harder in bigger companies where the teams are even bigger. But because of the nature of my role, where I have to constantly report to the two different teams, splitting my time, splitting my focus. And so it becomes so much easier for me to think that I need to bridge the gap between the two teams. And so that is something, even the onboarding process project was something that I initiated after seeing the gap between product and marketing. And so I think hopefully my coworkers is able to see the value in having that person to not just bridge between product and marketing, but to bridge between any two teams. Constant communication is always favored. I would say more communication is always the better. So, yep.
Yes, that's the same. More communication is always better than less communication, because less communication makes some problems that we don't like. Let's say like something like that, and something that, if I understand you well, that's these things you think they studied from you, no? You explain now, and what you
Yeah.
think studied from them, the way they're thinking about the product, the way they think about the marketing, something that you feel that, hey, I worked with them and now I know better because I worked with them.
Right. When we switched to mixed panel, it was really obvious that even the marketing people are very on board on using a product that is made for products, because mixed panel is kind of tracking within your product. And that was really surprising, because for the longest time, marketing has been using Google Analytics, um, mostly focusing on like some of the metrics I talked about earlier, like bounce rate, churn, page visit, unique visits. So them being open to switching another tool, adopting another workflow entirely was something that I noticed, and makes me really happy that the two teams are, coming together, trying to make a difference.
That's good. I don't know if some of you guys want to ask questions. I see there is no questions, but let's see if there's a question that somebody want to ask. Let me see. Some people in the session maybe has. Let's see. I see. For now, there is no questions. I guess you explain yourself very good, Marisa. The people understand very good.
No, I definitely hope people see the value in the things I'm sharing, because I know marketing and product is not as like frequently talked about. I know there are a lot of videos on engineering and designers, which is also something that I would love to share. But I guess in this session, I really want to focus on something that's really close to my heart, where I have to actively do every single day, bridging between the marketing team and the product team. So
Good. So if I see that there is no people in the session, before we go, I will say it again. In Instagram, design team of one. Oh, we have questions.
amazing.
Amazing, great. Do you think it's a good idea for a marketing student to be involved in design work? Hey, from Guatemala.
Yeah, so I think the question is interesting here because it's a student. And I'm going to talk about in terms of student and then in terms of being a product manager or like a PM intruding into design, because that's really common. But from a student point of view, definitely go out and try everything you find that you're curious about, that you're interested in. I don't have a traditional design background. I have a psychology background, and I didn't even know design was a thing until my third year. And so if you think design is something that interests you, definitely go out and try it out. There are a lot of resources online. You can also reach out to me for more resources on that. But why I would say that also is because there's definitely a connection between marketing and design. Some similarities are you're trying to explain some concepts. you trying to solve some problems, you trying to serve a different someone else than from yourself. So you really have to understand that person's perspective, that new user's perspective, and design a solution for it, whether it's from a marketing point of view or a design point of view. And so there are connections there where you can apply your knowledge from marketing into design. And so that's really valuable. And on the other hand, talking about the relationship between PMs and designers, I think it's sometimes really funny just to see the debate there, because some designers are really against PMs going into Figma and touching their designs, but some designers are really open to it. So it really comes down to how you communicate, how you establish that relationship. And I would say just establish those boundaries and communicate how you want to work, how you want the relationship to be early in the process, early in the project. And that's something I find really helpful working with PMs.
I hope that the answer your questions. Let's see. Great. Another question that we have. I hope I said your name good. Tushita. I hope so. I'm a UX designer student from India and interested in marketing. Are their career prospect in the niche, and is it oversaturated?
Yeah. So yeah, this is an amazing question, because marketing designer is also not actually being discussed in the community, but I know a lot of people who are actually in that role. It's also, you're UX UI designer interested in marketing. Yeah, so don't worry about the career prospect. Like, it's out there. There are a lot of job opportunities. There's this YouTuber that I follow. Her name is Charlie. Don't remember her handle, but I think it's Charlie TV or something.
Charlie Murray.
Yes.
Yes. Go. No,
No, so I mean, she's just a marketing designer that I really look up to, and I think it's amazing that she's able to connect all these different sides of her, like visual sides, strategic sides, marketing sides, design sides, into that one role that she does. She works for ConvertKit, which is the email template marketing platform. And yeah, definitely go check her out. She would have more to say about being in that marketing designer role.
Yes, I add her
there you go.
website.
Amazing.
Yes, I added her website below, Charlie Marie. Great content, and very recommended. As Marisa said, I can say that I studied from her a lot of stuff also. She's designer that focus on marketing design. She's now a design team lead or something like that, but very famous on YouTube, a lot of videos. So I said, like Marisa, good content and good to take a look. So if we have great. We hope it will help you. If we don't have more questions before we finish, I want to just say one thing. Design team of one. This is your account Instagram, no?
Right.
Follow Marisa. Great content, and I'm sure that you will enjoy from it. More stuff, Marisa, or not? That's all.
Yeah, thank you everyone for leaving their questions and joining our session today.
Great. So that's all. We'll meet in the next design talk. This video will upload to YouTube also, so you can watch it again and take a look on the stuff. And that's great. Perfect. Great. So thank you very much, guys, and see you in the next time. Enjoy your weekend.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.